Okay, it's time for us to talk about insurance. Yes, you and I need it at some levels. It is not time for you to say, God forbid, no, that's unplanned circumstance that could cost fortunes, that could end the business if there is no insurance backing for that business. It's not my portion. It's not... then you could ask, whose portion is it? So because we do not know what could happen tomorrow, there is a need to ensure today a business, even a life, ahead of unforeseen circumstances. But we're going to begin the conversation looking at third-party insurance for motorists. There's a new twist to that. But first, let's introduce to you our guest on the show, Sam Orojo, who is a public and international affairs analyst. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the Front Burners.
Good morning, Blessing. A pleasure to be here.
All right, if we look at insurance, and sometimes some people don't think of it as it's their portion or they will ever have need for insurance, because down here in Nigeria, in Africa, we're very religious, and people want to tell you they hope in God and then they hope for things not to go bad. But sometimes unforeseen circumstances happen to individuals, to businesses, to properties. Let's even take it from there. The aversion to signing up for insurance policies.
I think there are two perspectives to that issue. If you look at the insurance market in Nigeria in particular, when the insurance evolved from 1945, when the first Third-Party Motor Insurance Act was introduced, you had what you call sales agents who were moving door to door to sell insurance policy to the insuring public. When there was a need for a claim, most of those claims were not derived. So the apathy to insurance became a major problem. So it's not a cultural issue. There was a disconnect between the insurance public and those who were marketing insurance in the early 50s to 60s and to a late part of 70s, where you now have a need to make a claim. The premium were not paid to this insurance company, so you could not consummate a claim. Then the apathy to insurance began in that trajectory where people no longer believe in insurance. But a lot of changes has occurred over a period of time. The National Insurance Commission has put in place some enlightenment policy to educate the public in terms of insurance. But what is critical in terms of the third party is a compulsory insurance that every motorist must take. It's compulsory, so it's not an option.
Yeah, but before we get to the nitty-gritty of the rules that governs the third-party insurance in Nigeria, now, can you also help us educate our listener? Who is a third party?
A third party is everybody that have a vehicle that is on the road in Nigeria. Therefore, by the Insurance Act of 1945, which was just recently reviewed in 2023, which takes effect from January 1st, 2023, once you have a vehicle, then you have to take that insurance, and the insurance has three major elements. A damage to a third-party vehicle. So if, for example, I have an accident with Blessing's vehicle, there's an obligation to pay for the damage to that vehicle. Then if it's the human injury or death, you pay. Then if it's goods that are conveyed, then you pay for those elements. So, okay. And you have a cover of about 3 million that you need to for the third-party element. And if it's commercial, you have 5 million in terms of cover. Then in terms of the premium element, for third-party is 15,000. Then for commercial vehicle, articulated trucks and other, 20,000 naira. And these are compulsory.
Now we have cases in Nigeria where you see road users engage themselves in fisticuffs over damage. I remember that popular song, "You Don't Hit My Car."
Yes, by Tony Tetwile.
And you see, those kind of things create some problems on the road. And of course, you see, these vehicles had third party. Is it ignorance that is making them to fight? That they are supposed to understand that if somebody had damaged my vehicle, and for the fact that he committed a crime and he has a third party insurance, that the insurance company is supposed to pay me whose vehicle is damaged. And in some cases, you also see where accidents happen. And of course, you see people are injured inside the vehicle. And the owner of the vehicle is forced sometimes by jungle justice to take the people that are wounded to the hospital. And the cost is borne by the motorists. So is it that there is no sufficient enlightenment for people to understand what this third-party insurance is, or there's a deliberate attempt by the insuring company to make sure that the public do not really understand what it is meant for? Because for every motor user, a third-party insurance, because the law obligated it, is like a kind of a punishment.
No, I don't think so. Essentially, like you said in your question, I think essentially it has to do with a lack of education of the insuring public, that the third-party insurance covers them essentially to deal with the damage to the third-party vehicle, if it's injury, bodily damage, or even in case of death, and the goods that are being conveyed. But the point here is that when you take a policy, and this is a challenge in the Nigerian space, where people take a policy and they don't go through the policy itself. At the back of every policy, all the elements of the policy are stated in the back of the policy, but people just do that, looking at it as an obligation to just take a third party without knowing the benefits. So I don't work for an insurance company, but I'm not absolving the insurance company. More often than not, people do not know how to demand their right in terms of the third-party claim. So we need more education, particularly from the National Insurance Commission, to educate the public that for third-party, you should meet your insurance company to make claims, or a third-party claim, essentially. Number two, there are elements for you to consummate your claim. That's what you call a loss adjuster. So when you report a case of a damage to a third party, you're supposed to inform your insurance company, and the insurance company was supposed to send a loss adjuster who determine the damage to the third party before a process of claim is made. So, but more often than not, people don't want to go through the rigor, not necessarily rigor, because if you go to a typical insurance company dashboard, those who have an online services, you have a form to institute your claim. And you need all the step-by-step processes, which does not take more than 3 days. And once you meet all the requirements in terms of what you need to get the third party, you get that claim. Another challenge, again, is more often than not, where people take those insurance companies, you have a lot of fake insurance companies where people who just go into a vehicle licensing office, you have a full bouquet. You take your road tax, that's the motor vehicle license, then somebody gives you an insurance paper. But then when there's a damage, the insurance company that has that policy does not exist any longer. So advise people to look at the National Insurance Commission, where you have a publication of all the approved insurance companies in Nigeria that have the license to operate. And you place a demand. Once you pay your 15,000 naira, which is a premium. So, and there's a slang in insurance, no premium, no claim. So once your premium is paid and you know what to do, and the advisory, therefore, apart from third party, is that always use an insurance broker who is an intermediary between you and the insurance company. All
right, taking it from there. So you must ensure that when there's an accident or something happens, you file for payment of claims. So motorists now are urging NICOM and the police also to enforce payment of insurance claims, because they say that if they prevail on insurance companies to pay claims, the same measure with which they're asking that motorists must have the third-party insurance. This will ensure claims are paid, and it will encourage more motorists to take up third-party insurance.
I'm among them.
You're among them. Okay, good to know. So that delay in payment of claims, don't you think is part of the reason why you find that when an accident happens, people fight? Because will the third party wait for all of this process to be concluded before payment is done, and then they get their cars fixed, or where there's an injury, they get treated? What happens to prompt payment of claims?
No, I think for me personally, it has to do with the culture of our people. We have a mindset where we think that things will not happen well, so we try to use under the table kind of arrangement to see how you can get things done. There are processes. So once that happens, you're supposed to call in the police, who is the first person at that point who marks the points of the accident, and you have a police report sent to your insurance company. And once these processes are properly laid out, within 3 days, you can get your claim. But this idea that insurance don't pay claim is a cultural issue that we need to purge ourselves from as a people. A lot of insurance company, not a mouthpiece of insurance company, but a lot of insurance company pay claim. And I can attest to that. Personally, I've always got claim on my vehicle, even when I have a pebble that fell on my windshield at the time. I had my insurance company made a replacement for that. As soon as I filed in the report, took the photograph, and I sent it, and the claim was paid.
But so not on third party?
Eh?
Not on third party?
Every party, whether it's comprehensive, whether it's third party, you can't get your claim. The point I'm trying to make here is that people don't have the knowledge to pursue their legitimate claim. That's the point I'm making. So once there's an accident, you're supposed to make a report. The traffic police come, does the mark line of the accident, write a report, then you file that report. So if there's a delay in terms of what the police does before these documents get to the insurance company, that's a problem. So, but claims can be made from insurance company.
Okay, all right. And so for me, cultural biases. People most times don't want to use insurance companies because most times those who market insurance products, they come to the people and they start selling the products. They don't give you the complete information. And when they are done giving you the half-baked information, when they're done giving you the half-baked information, and when the unlikely happens and the people are trying to file their claims in order to get back their benefits, there's this disposition that the insurance companies give. They don't want to pay back because paying back is like they are losing. And this is a very recent case where the person I spoke of was going to the hospital. He was even a pensioner. He's even a pensioner, rather. And he was hospitalized. He took pictures while in bed, took the doctor's report, all those required information to file a claim for returns from the insurance company. And as we speak, he hasn't gotten that. And as part of the insurance, he has that. The insurance company had that provide part payment for the treatment because the insurance policy that he is into is that they don't fund, there are some ailments that they will not fund the complete amount of money that is required to pay. They're just going to fund either a quarter or a half of it. But till as we speak, he hasn't got that money. So my question is, is there a regulatory body that monitors the activities of insurance companies, that people like this can take the matters of insurance companies' misbehavior or misdemeanor to, so they can get reprieve?
Yeah, the National Insurance Commission is a regulatory body that regulates insurance practice in Nigeria. So there's a regulatory body that deals with that. But again, like we mentioned earlier, the key is education. Again, I say that I'm not speaking for insurance companies because I'm not their publicist. But the point here is that most Nigerians take policies without reading the policy document. Like I mentioned, beyond third party, every insurance policy document has all the elements at the back of that policy document. So more often than not, people don't read those documents. Therefore, when there's a need for a claim, there are what you call extension. For example, if you insure an item, maybe for fire, you need to make an extension of a possible insurance coming from the next building. Then you put a small percentage on that. But then if you don't look at the policy framework and the claim comes and you are not covered with the claim that you are demanding, like you mentioned, maybe the claim just take element to fit hospital bill for X amount of days, and it doesn't cover a major ailment, which is already stated in that policy document. So the point being made here is that the insuring public must look at every insurance document that they sign into. If they don't, they can give it to their lawyer, give it to their insurance consultant to study those documents, to know the elements that are within the claim and the elements that are not within the claim. So that when you put up a claim, you don't get disappointed that the insurance company don't want to pay.
Yeah, but you see, there's also a situation where people are also thinking that there seems to be a deliberate attempt by the insurance companies to take advantage of the inability, like you have said, of people to actually read. Yeah, because if you want to hide something from a black man, you write it in a book. Now, and they know that our public are not reading. But when they are selling life to you, they come to tell you and say, you see, you are buying life insurance. In case you die, your children will collect.
Yes.
If they are selling comprehensive to you, they tell you that, oh, if you buy this insurance, if your motor burn, insurance will replace
Buy
it.
another one.
All my life driving, I have never seen where they have educated people who procure third-party insurance that, oh, we are taking this. Because the real reason why a lot of people go to do that third party is because either VIO is going to hold you on the road. It's compulsory. Yes, I understand it. Yeah, because there's an enforcement. Yes. And I think this is where the motorists are coming from. Now, if you can make it compulsory that we have to pay deliberately, is it also not nice for there to be an obligation on the insuring third-party insurance companies to enlighten anybody who is taking that insurance to say, this is the benefits that accrue to you if you do this thing, so that people are not taking it like a punitive measure, but they look at it as a reprieve for themselves.
I agree with you absolutely that the insurance companies has to do more education in terms of public enlightenment on their various policy elements, particularly the third party, which cover almost every other person within the society. I agree with you absolutely. The National Insurance Commission equally has a responsibility because they are the ones who from time to time regulate the rates of what people pay, particularly for third party, which was just in 2023, was moved to 15,000. Then on the other hand, the National Insurance Association that make up insurance company should equally do some public enlightenment to educate Nigerians on the limit of claim, on the procedure of claim, and what you need to claim on third party. That will help to reduce the misconception and misunderstanding between the insuring public and the insurance company. But let's put it out there in the open space to educate everybody that once you pay your premium and your company where you pay the premium to is licensed by the National Insurance Commission, then you have every right and responsibility to pursue the claim. But you must inform your insurance company first and foremost when an accident do occur, even if you have taken money out of your back pocket to settle so that you don't get some kind of public embarrassment, you still have those claims. But the process is foolproof. So if you don't have those processes consummated, it may be difficult for you to claim. And so that's the lesson that We must be patient. We must understand the process of making those claims. And not just sufficient to have a public outcry that insurance company don't pay claim. Insurance company do pay claim, even third-party claim. And if you go into the National Insurance Commission, you see the percentage of claim been made in the last 1 year by various insurance companies. The records are there.
Yeah, but I think
let's look at penetration of insurance companies in Nigeria. As of 2022 March, it was recorded that the insurance penetration in Nigeria is 0.5%. And then when they broke that statistics further down, it showed that more men in Nigeria have taken up insurance than women, even when you look at employer-based insurance, mutual health insurance, and all of that. Now, for even motor insurance, we still do not have a lot of vehicles in Nigeria insured. In fact, health insurance happens to be like the highest right now for that accounts for contribution to insurance policies that Nigerians are signing up for in Nigeria. What could be the issues why Nigerians are really not embracing insurance? Aside the cultural issue that you talked about, are there some challenges with innovation? What else can the insurance companies do to have more people come on board? So this 0.5%, which happens to be about the lowest in Africa, can improve.
I think simply put is education. That cultural issue, we need to deal with that, and that's a very strong one. And Nigerians are overtly religious people. So when you talk about insurance, it's like you are preaching something that people will suffer from if they insure themselves, their property, and some other item. So the concept of insurance really, fundamentally, is to bring you to a point of comfort. You're not supposed to make profit. So if you suffer a loss, the insurance companies will bring you to a place of comfort where the loss you suffer cannot negatively impact you as an individual, as your business. So we need more education that people need to insure themselves, insure their property, that risk that is insured is to the benefit of you as an individual first and foremost, and that insurance will bring you to a point of comfort if you suffer any loss based on the risk that you are exposed to. So I think it's education. Insurance supports everybody individually. Insurance supports your businesses. Insurance supports your property. But then, people always think that when people come for insurance, is that something untoward will happen to you. So we need to purge ourselves.
Yes, aside purging ourselves, you are disenlightened because you have been in that industry. And so it gives you the benefit of understanding what is. There's also a deliberate part on the insurance company not to communicate. Priya just mentioned something. Because when you look at the environment where we operate, you're seeing that people have issues and they are trying to make a claim. I remember recently, some time ago, we had an insurance, and the guy who was the broker, because the brokers are also all over the place looking for business, and said, oh, you need to give this your generator comprehensive insurance. And then, of course, we did put a comprehensive insurance on the generator. And not quite 3 weeks, the armature of the generator was taken. And we said, oh, there was insurance on it. Only for the guy to come back and say that the comprehensive did not cover that one. And so we could not get a claim. Now, there's all these kind of experiences that Nigerians are having. It's not really cultural matter that people don't want to die, because it's not only about death, it's all about property. That you are making it, like they say in my village, the food that you don't want to give to a lame person, you put it on the hanger. That is the way the insurance here seems to be wired. That there is this deliberate attempt to avoid payment of claim. outside the cultural issues that we're talking about?
To answer your question in specific term, I will look at it from two perspectives. Number one, which I've mentioned earlier, more often than not, the insuring public do not look at their policy. And I can assure you, Dr. Idahosa, that generator that was insured, there were elements of some of those generating sets that were not covered in that policy. If you have that policy, you can bring it at some point. We'll look at it, and you'll see it in clear term that those elements are just on the softer side.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because if I am hiring you as a contractor, no. That you say,
the point
that why will I have to
your insurance broker, is he a licensed insurance broker?
Yes, he is.
Or is just a consultant? So he has a responsibility to protect his or her client.
Yes.
So you can report that broker to the National Insurance Commission for not doing their job well. You can do a letter of protest, and you can write to the insurance company as well. It's not late. You can still make that claim. It's not time bound, as it were, for that case. So the point I'm trying to make further is that while wanting to insure, with the perception that we have with the insurance company, we already have a mindset that the insuring company do not want to pay claim. Therefore, we don't even bother to take a step to see what these policies are about. What kind of insurance brokerage firm are you deploying to help you do that insurance? But then beyond even using an insurance broker, once the elements that we mentioned earlier are carefully studied and look at all the elements, you can get a little forward to say, please, I want to cover SY. So the charges are minimal, just small extension that will not meaningfully affect the premium that you want to pay at the end of the day. So like we said earlier, we need more education, and this kind of opportunity to talk about insurance will help a lot of people, particularly the insuring public, to understand their rules and obligation as well. Right. So, but if you don't understand those obligations, when you go back to the insurance company, you always come with this negative perception that you are not paid, because there's no full proof in terms of what you want to claim as well. You have to have that process to put a claim
across. So let me ask, I think most I've seen creators, and recently I've seen that insurance companies have become more innovative. But let's assume, even if it's a third-party insurance, you don't get to hit anyone's car, and nobody actually hits your car, and you've been paying that since thy kingdom come. Are there innovative or creative ways that the insurance company, devise some of these their products, or they can do, where at least for paying for 25, 30, maybe say 15 years, or 15 years, as long as that car lasts or that property is in operation, that you don't have to just leave all those monies like that to the insurance company to take away, that there is at least some form of money that you get back in return, even when that particular accident or incident did not occur. The reason why I'm asking this question is because human beings be like, I've been paying these people, nothing is going to happen. Let me just organize or fabricate one incident, and it just goes on to do that because it doesn't want to lose that money to the insurance company. In this particular case, what would be your advice to both insurance companies and to the insuring public?
I think beyond the third-party issue, which is obligatory, compulsory, you have what you call no claim discount. For example, you insure a property, maybe you have a comprehensive insurance, and in a year or two, you don't have a claim. When you are going to renew for the other year, you have some levels of discount because you have not made a claim. So if, for example, you insure your car for maybe a 1 million naira car, 10% or a comprehensive, and year one, there was no claim, and you are going to renew the comprehensive, there will be a discount on the previous year because there was no claim from you. So you pay less than 100,000. So I don't want to give specific figure, so we don't mislead the public. But that's what you call no claim discount. So you approach your insurance broker, your insurance company, that I insure XYZ. In the last 1 or 2 years, I've not made any claim. Therefore, I require discount in the next renewal of that insurance policy. Those policies are in place that take care of the client or the consumer in terms of what the insurance company does for you. So those are already in the book. So the public can approach their company that XY have not, therefore I need a discount. So it's here within the purview of their responsibility to make those claims on the insurance company, and they will be granted.
On a final note, let's look at what will help the insurance sector to grow and also help Nigerians. We find that health insurance is one of the most embraced insurance policies that people take up, because the issue of if I'm paying and then I don't get to file for claims doesn't arise with the health issue. If the person doesn't have need to go to the hospital 1 year, they may have need to go to the hospital the second year. It may not even be to be treated. It may just be routine checkup. Or maybe some tests that they want to carry out. Now, that health insurance was made possible and facilitated because of the National Health Insurance Act, which now mandates employers to have their employees come under that or sign up to that policy. For the third-party insurance, it is a requirement, so motorists do not really have a choice, except those who are able to maneuver and just maybe by chance they've been escaping the authorities that check for that. But for other types of insurance, do we need policies to encourage people, or strictly is a matter of innovation? If the product is appealing to the markets, then they would actually take it up.
I think the point here generally is that a lot of Nigerians has limited knowledge about insurance. There are a lot of policy framework within the insurance sector. Those who operate within those sectors knows how to assess those insurance companies. So that's why you have called marine and cargo insurance. There's no way you can do those kind of business without securing. You have good in transit insurance. There's no way you transport major goods from one point to another point without insuring those goods. But for the health insurance that you talk about, in spite of the remarkable, it's marginal increase in terms of the figure, Nigeria remains still the lowest in the world in terms of access to health insurance. So we need to educate companies, individuals to subscribe to that. Anyway, like you said in your question, the concept of insurance is actually based on that principle. It's not everybody that is insured that will use that premium. Okay. So some people will use it more. Some people may not use it. And at the end of the day, it levels itself out, particularly for the health insurance. So a company registers 10 people enrollee in a year. If you let 2 people go to the hospital, and that 2 people will wipe out the amount that has been paid even for 10 staff. It's not everybody that will come there. And that's the principle generally in insurance across the globe. Not everybody that pays that premium may have a need to make a claim. Therefore, at the end of the day, somebody will make a claim that will wipe out almost all the premium. So that is the risk element that we'll talk about. But in spite of that, we need to patronize insurance company, whether life, non-life, general, cargo, marine, whatever, property, house owner, householder, whatever kind of insurance. I think it's something that we should embrace to help the system.
Because we're talking about third party, and I don't want to get into other form of insurance. So I'm particularly very interested in this third party stuff. Now, because like I read here, and it says, our third party motor insurance covers accidental damage caused by your vehicle or for another person's vehicle or property. Now,
absolutely.
What if the accident is caused by reckless driving? Would the insurance company accept liability?
The point here, I spoke to those issues, but now you are going into specific demand. I talked about 2 elements before the insurance can make the claim. You need a police report that highlights in this incident, a traffic police officer. Then you need an independent loss adjuster appointed by the insurance company who understand the nitty-gritty of the engineering of accident, who now write a report. So if the scenarios in terms of what caused the accident are not sufficient based on the loss adjuster's report, then that claim may not be consummated. And these are the kind of education that we talked about earlier. So if it's determined that the driver is reckless, but what is important is that the insurance company must pay that obligation because it's a third party that claim is being paid to. So,
because I just read this out of an insurance company's site.
Yes.
And that is how it caps it. And so you pay 50,000, that is what it is. You can get 3 million. Now, but the circumstances in which that 3
qualifies
million
you
is going to be claimed is not detailed.
And that
so
loss
how
adjuster.
does the insuring public understand what the circumstances are and know which conditions are right for claims and not for claims?
So, like I said previously, and this is the takeaway from this conversation at the end of the day, is that once you take a policy, any policy document, whether it's third party or any other insurance policy for that matter, all the condition precedent for that policy are highlighted at the back of that policy document. So people should educate themselves of the elements to pursue that claim. And that's why we talk about education, and the insurance company, like you said, I take that point very strongly, must educate the insuring public. They have a responsibility because they collect 15,000 from an average Nigerian year on year. So they have that obligation to educate.
Why must the loss adjuster be appointed by the insurance company?
Yeah, that
the reason for accepting that report is now based on the report of the loss adjuster.
We need to have an advocacy.
That loss adjuster is not an independent person.
Just a moment, sir. We need to do an advocacy to the National Assembly. The 1945 Insurance Act, which was a colonial instrument, just about a few years ago, that some adjustments were made in that act. So we need to constantly change that policy framework by educating the people. And some of this conversation will help to do that. There are certain elements with that 1945 Act we need to take away. Just in 2023, that a bit of that act was adjusted a little. So we need to make some adjustment to remove those colonial framework that are not very good for the insuring company and the insuring public as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam Uruji. We think that we want to appeal to insurance companies. It is not enough for you to say, come sign up, take up insurance policy. You must ensure that you educate your clients very well. Don't put it at the back alone and say it's their responsibility to read. So that, yes, because if the product is at the forefront, I think that the policy, the guidelines, what qualifies them for claims should also be there. So that it's not something that if you're unable to read, then is at their own loss. Let us know exactly when we take up a policy, when we're paying for it, let's know what that premium covers.
Nicom, I beg, tell police to help us as police is helping the insurance company. That is my plea.
Okay, motorists have appealed to Nicom to prevail, Nicom and the Nigerian police to prevail on insurance companies to pay claims. So these will encourage other persons to take it up. Yes, they have a point too, so I think it should be both ways. If you're asking motorists to have third-party insurance, you should also prevail on the companies that once these covers are taken up, when the claims need to be paid, it should not be a process that drags on, because once accidents happen on the road, trust me, the third party is never patient enough for all of those processes to take place. All right, we've been talking with Sam Uruji, who is a public affairs and international analyst on the show today. We thank you for making our time to be part of us today.
My pleasure.